Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. So we continue the Gaon Mivilna, and then we'll go back to the Malbim, yeah, from the Pasuk Chet. We stopped the Malbim Pasuk Chet, but with the Gaon, we did Chet and Tet. So in the last shiur, we spoke about what brings Am Yisrael to be in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ahad Hiyo Natita Mati. How are you cherished to be considered one to Hashem, the one? You have a lot of queens, you have a lot of pilakshi, you have a lot of concubines. There's a lot of women in the entourage of the king. Yeah, a lot of people, How do you become the one? So we said it was based on what? On the traits of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, right? Avraham is the Mesirut Nefesh, the sacrifice. Yitzhak is dedication, right? And Yaakov is clarity. These are the three pillars that if you implement it in your Avodat Hashem, you attract HaKadosh Baruch Hu's attention and you become the one. How can 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people can become the one? You can. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has no problem focusing on everybody and give his full attention on everyone. So it's not a question of how does HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about me or pays attention to me. It's how much do I trigger of his attention, right? And there is a formula to it. The first, it's the mix of these three, and Kamuvan with a seder. You need to sacrifice, you need to be dedicated, right? And you have to have clarity. You have these three things, you open the behavior of Hashem that is called interest. I'm in love with you, I'm interested in you. Yeah, good. That was last year. And then as part of that interaction and intimate relationship you create with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you trigger something else. The whole creation now says, Mizot hanishkafa, now we're Pasuk Yud, Perik Vav Pasuk Yud. Mizot hanishkafa kemo shachar. Who is that one? Who is that lady? Who is that person that shines like the dawn, that radiates like the dawn? The dawn is the piercing of light that has the ability to push away the darkness, right? So we know, we spoke a few times about the concept of Kadruta de Tzafra. Kadruta de Tzafra is brought twice in the Zohar Kadosh. It is the darkest time in the night. When is it? It's right before dawn. The Kli Yakar also brings it. He compares it to the split of the neshama from the body, the conflict between the guf and the neshama, darkness and day, spirituality and physicality, right? So the darkest time of the night, the heaviest darkness in the period of time of the night is right before dawn. The dawn represents the overcoming. That's what the Kli Yakar wants to teach us. It's the overcoming of the light on the darkness. The darkness puts his full effort to overcome. That's called Kadruta de Tzafra. That's the darkest time of night, where there is Kadruta de Tzafra is another concept at the time of the darkest time of night, is when the Or HaGanuz actually starts. It's when the light starts piercing, but you don't see light. Okay, that's Kadruta de Tzafra. It's still dark, and then the light overcomes the darkness, and that's called dawn. That's called Shachar, right? That's when light fights and wins over darkness. So says Shlomo HaMelech, Mizot HaNishkafa, who is that one that shines like the Shachar, like the dawn, Yafa Kalevana, that is pretty like the moon. Why is the moon pretty? Because the moon shows off the light it receives from the sun at night next to the stars. So you have a lot of stars, but they're all tiny, right? So you have it's like you have a lot of ladies, and they're all not nice, not dressed nicely, they're not pretty, they're not this, and suddenly you have like Miss Monde. She walks, Miss World. She walks and she's dressed with I don't know, Christian Dior or Chanel, and she walks like this, and everybody's looking at her. That's the moon. Now the only difference is that she's only wearing for the fashion show. It's not hers. So all the diamonds, everything she wears, they give it to her to wear just for the show, right? The moon shines, but what does it shine? It shines the light of the sun, right? So she shows off. Avalma, Yafa, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. Yafa kalevana. Ubaraka hama, she's berura. She's clear. She's radiating like the sun. When you actually look at the source of light, the sun, you cannot look at it. You cannot. It blinds you, right? But the moon you can, because it's a buffer. Baraka hama, when the intensity, when the purity of the source of light, the source of kedusha is in front of you, it's so intense you cannot look at it. Where do we find this? We find Moshe Rabbeinu. He comes down from Har Sinai. He's radiating the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And what does he have to do to speak to everybody? He has to put a masveh, puts a veil, puts a veil. We asked a famous question, that how can something physical like a veil can separate the light that is spiritual? If it's spiritual, you can put it as many veils as you want. It's still going to radiate, right? So that's the question of the Arizal HaKadosh. The answer we gave, the answer I gave, I haven't found it written, but the Ari HaKadosh has another Kabbalah answer that we're not going to get into because it requires too many introductions. But anyway, so what I said, Al Pi Musar, the veil wasn't for Moshe. The veil was for the people looking at Moshe. So depending on how physical they were, the veil would actually create the buffer, right? So what you see is a reflection of who you are spiritually. If you see spirituality, if you are spiritual, you're going to see spirituality in people. If you are physical, you're going to see physical in people, in physicality. And since nobody was at the level of spirituality of Moshe Rabbeinu, so the veil was enough to create that buffer of light. So what is the Baraka Hama? Baraka Hama, Berura, clear, right? The source is clear like the sun. Who is that person again? Mizot. Who is that one? Mizot. Ayuma kanit galot. Ayuma is feared. Ayom venora, awesome, feared. Kanit galot, like the degalim. Again, the same concept, like the degalim, like the flags, right? Where we spoke about the flags and how the flags represents pride, it represents presence, it represents identity, right? Every country has a flag. Okay, Am Yisrael never had one flag until the Hakamat Medinat Israel. We had every shevet had its own flag, and every group of three around. We had 4 groups of 3 shevatim around the Mishkan, with the Kohanim around the Mishkan, with the Leviim around the Kohanim, and then we had all 4 directions that had a constellation of 3 shevatim on each. And the Mizrach was the first one with Yehuda and Issachar and Zevulun and then okay. Bechol ofan, ayuma kanit galot. So here, the Gaon takes this pasuk on to the next level. He says the following. He says the day is broken into 4 sections. You have the beginning of the day up to the middle of the day till the end of the day. two sections in the day, and we have also two sections at night, from the middle of the night, from the beginning of the night till middle of the night, middle of the night till end of the night. Okay, 4 sections in the day. The day is broken in 4. Very good. Very good. Each section, each part of the day has an influence of mazalot. Okay, we have 12 mazalot. We have 12, the constellation of 12. We have 12 constellation of asters, and that we call the mazalot. The how do you call it, the signs? What's the name of this in astrologic signs? The mazalot, right? Like scorpion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We have 12 of them. Yeah, the mazalot. We have 12 of them, and each portion of the day, okay, there is a constellation of 3 that take over. Obviously, you always have the dominant and the recessive, always, right? In each month, you have one that is dominant. The beginning of the month, the end of the month, there is a correlation between the previous dominant and the new dominant, and then the next dominant versus the upcoming dominant versus the one that's dominant presently. And so you also have different mixtures, right, of mazalot. Okay, so you have the dominant, then you have the recessive, and then you have the ones that play that influence, but on the 3rd level. The rest of the mazalot that play a weaker role at that time. Says the Gaon Mivilna. Bon, if you open Pardes Rimonim from the Ramak, Pardes Rimonim is a book written by the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovaro, which is the basics of Limudei Kabbalah. Anyone that wants to learn Kabbalah and understand the basic concept of Kabbalah is Pardes Rimonim. I think Perek Kav Dalet Od Tet Zayin. Okay. Shar Kav Dalet, the Shar 24, Perek Tet Zayin, and Tet Vav and Tet Zayin. The Ramak in Pardes Rimonim speaks about the constellation of the 12 Shemot Havaya and the 12 Mazalot, and organizes all the 12 Mazalot, the 12 constellations, aligned with the Yud Bet Havayot. There's 12 ways of written Yud Ke Vav Ke. We're not going into it, and with the 12 month and the 12 Shevatim. Okay, and each one has a power, and then it breaks this into 4 that each represent one of the letters of Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Yud represents 3 Shevatim, the He represents another 3 Shevatim, the Vav another 3 Shevatim, and the last He another 3 Shevatim, and it's broken into 12 months. It starts from Sivan. You have one portion of the year, Sivan Tammuz Av, Nisan Iyar Sivan, Nisan Iyar Sivan, first portion, which is Neged Yud, Tammuz Av Elul, Neged He, Tishrei Heshvan Kislev, Vav, Teves Shvat Adar, He. Okay? Now, I'm just putting information. You don't have to understand what I'm saying so much, but why am I'm preparing all this because of what the Gaon wants to come and say. So says the Gaon, also the day is broken into 4 portions, right? Yud Ke Vav Ke. So the morning, the beginning of the night is can I get the Yud. Again, the second portion of the night is against the He. The beginning of the morning of the day is the Vav, and the last portion of the day is the He. Okay, good. So he says the Gaon, and against each letter and each portion you have 3 Shevatim, right? So you're gonna have, since the day is broken into 4, each portion has 3 Shevatim, that's 12. Right? It's the same way it was organized around the Mishkan. Why is that so important? Because it says the Gaon Mivilna, the entire constellation, when a person serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he has the ability to emulate Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, like we said in the beginning of the shiur, based on last shiur. You tap into the power of the mazalot, and you can benefit every day from whatever influence those asters have on creation. Understood? And he says, based on that understanding, Am Yisrael was able to bring different types of miracles. And he says, what? He says, Mizot anishkafa kemo shachar. Who is this power? Who is this person? Who is this people that is shining and radiating and bringing light like the shachar? Talking about Am Yisrael. What do you like the shachar? Who is that people that was able to make the miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim? What is the miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim? Who broke the chains of Egypt? Who is that people that was able to for the first time in history, free themselves from the influence of Egypt? Who is that people? How did they do it? Through the tchunot, through the midot of the Shevatim. That's the first three Shevatim. And he says that's against Mizot Anishkafa Kemo Shachar. That happened in the beginning of the night. Then he says, Mechila, the beginning of the day. That's Shachar is the day. Okay. Yafa Kalevana is the beginning of the night. Yafa Kalevana, the night, right? The Levana, when do you start singing it? At the beginning of the night. Yafa Kalevana, he says, what is that? The Kriyat Yam Suf. The miracle of the Kriyat Yam Suf. Barak HaHama ze Matan Torah. That's the beginning of the day. Barak HaHama. The Torah brings light, it brings clarity. The Torah, you can benefit from its light, but you cannot really understand the depth or absorb the depth of the light of the Torah. It's too powerful. Nobody can actually see it clearly. You benefit from it, the light of the Torah, but you cannot grasp it until the end because it's infinite, like this light there. And he says, Ayuma kanit galot, Ayuma feared like the Galim. He says, what this is, that's going to be Mashiach. And how do we bring Mashiach? How does that compare to the past of Am Yisrael? He says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to count, Yihus, counting every one of Am Yisrael. He says, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu ask Moshe to count all the Jewish people? To show love, to show care, to show responsibility, right? So says the Gaon Vilna, when a person has those traits like we discussed earlier, then he can tap into he can control nature. And suddenly he can trigger Kriyat Yam Suf, who did it also. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, he split the Yarden. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the Yarden opened in front of it. He had to travel. It split. So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh is if Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair did it, so what's such a big deal at the time of the Kriyat Yam Suf? So the answer, he says no. But the first time was Kriyat Yam Suf. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu already brought it to the world, so the tzaddikim can use it. So tzaddikim can make miracles, right? Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, he split. He made a donkey from the earth, and he had to cross the river of the Yarden. Now, when you make a golem, when you create an animal from the earth, when you bring to life, it could be an animal, it can be a person, like the golem, yeah. The whole Sefer HaYetzirah is based on that. You go. We create it. No, yeah, yes. No, today we don't do it, but yes, it's yeah.
When was that? How much after Kriyat Yam Suf?
No, after. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair is the end of the first Bet HaMikdash. at the end of between the first and second Bet HaMikdash. After, no, Mechila, at the end of the second Bet HaMikdash, like 2,000 years ago. But no, the Maharal Prague, also we believe he didn't, but there's a story that he did. The golem is not so difficult. If you have the patience to and you understand what you're doing, you can do it. That's irrelevant. But if you create an essence, he created a donkey. He needed Torah, but he didn't have a donkey, so he made a donkey from the earth. But if water touches that creation, it goes back to earth. So in order to cross, he had to split the water. So the water split in front of it. So again, tzaddikim, here Shlomo HaMelech comes and tells us, Mizot HaNishkafa. Apshat, when you have this connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, now you start controlling nature. You can control nature. Now, obviously, so you don't do it for your own benefit, but you can control nature. You can control it. So that you have the ability from the beginning of once again from the first portion of the day. If you know what to do with it, you can create Kriyat Yamsuf. You can create Yetziat Mitzrayim. From the first portion of the night, if you know what to do during that portion of the night, and you need Kriyat Yamsuf, you can create Kriyat Yamsuf. If you need Matan Torah, Kavanah, you need clarity and you need the Gilui. The Bet Yosef, Magid Mesharim, we wrote a book called Magid Mesharim. Magid Mesharim, the Malach, Eliyahu Navi, would come every night, teach him, learn with him Torah, with the Bet Yosef. Every night, all the Gam Vilna also, he had Giluyim. So, what is the Giluyim? Is they're able to tap into the light that we can benefit from spiritually through the control of nature. How do you control the nature? Through the fact that Kadosh Baruch Hu looks at you and you look at him and you become liquid. Can you say no to your wife? You cannot say no to your wife. If she's the queen, you respect everything she asks, you do. Why? Because you love her, right? When you elevate yourself and you're being loved by Kadosh Baruch Hu, then everything is open. You can do anything you want. Anything you want. This is what Shlomo HaMelech is telling us. Mizot HaNishkafa. Who is that one? Who is that people? Who are these people that came and changed the course of nature, controlled everything? Mizot HaNishkafa. And he enumerates. Nishkafa kemo shachar, yafa kalevana, baraka hama, ayuma kanitgalot. Who's that one? I know who's the one that we just spoke about. And he doesn't stop here. El iginat egoz yaradeti. I came down. Who's Ani? Who's talking now? Who's the one that's talking about the neshama? About says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? According to El ginat egoz yaradeti. I came down to the field of nuts. Because tzaddikim, they're called nuts. How do we know that tzaddikim are called nuts? The Gemara in Masechet Chagigat Zayin, the Gemara says the following: that there's a big issue. How does Rabbi Meir learn from Acher, from his rabbi? Right, his rabbi, ended up being not good. Acher Elisha ben Abuyar. So the Gemara talks a lot about how Rabbi Meir learned the Torah like this. So Amar Rav Dimi says that Rabbi Meir. He says, in Ma'arava, they say that you can eat. Rabbi Meir ate from the date that was not ripe, but he threw the klipa, he threw the peel. He threw the peel. So the Gemara continues and says, what does that mean? So after he says that Rabbi Meir, the Torah, the Am Yisrael, the tzaddikim are compared to the nut. Walnut, the walnut. Why? Because the walnut, when it falls from the tree, even if it's dirty, even if it's full of mud, right? When you crack it, it's clean. Its fruit is perfect. It's clean. The tzaddikim, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to the source of the Torah they learned. The Torah, the actual Torah they learned stays clean. Yeah. So we say, well, what's anu? Anyway, Hashem Yishmor. We say it's such a big message. Why? Because we think that because you teach Torah, or you learn Torah, or you know Torah, it saves you from the from the heaviness of the body. Nobody's protected from it. Nobody's protected. So says the Gemara, the Talmidei Chachamim, they take the Torah, the Tzaddikim, they take the Torah, they take the knowledge, they take the Kedusha, not the secular knowledge of the Torah. They take the Kedusha of the Torah. They take the Kedusha of the Otiyot of the Torah. And that's what matters. And this is what they connect themselves to. These are the tzaddikim. So Rabbi Meir, he took the Torah of Acher. He took the Kedusha of all these teachings. So he threw the klipa. The negativity that Acher decided to follow, to connect to his rabbi, this he didn't take. He tried his best. He would walk on Shabbat behind his rabbi that was Acher, that was riding a horse. You know, he's asur to ride a horse on Shabbat. He was begging him to do teshuvah. El gina de goz yaradeti, says Zakadosh Baruch Hu. You know why these people are so great? You know why these tzaddikim can do so much? Because their behavior make me come down to their garden. El gina de goz yaradeti. I come and I benefit from the smell and the beauty and the richness of all these nuts. The nut also is divided. When you cut the nut, even each half is divided in two. So you have 4 pieces, you have 4 sections within a nut. Right? These 4 sections are the 4 sections that the tzaddikim control in nature. They know the first half of the day what to do, the second half of the day what to do. That's why we have shacharit in the morning, we have mincha in the afternoon, mincha gdola, you have arvit, and then you have tikkun chatzot. Right? These are the 4 pivots of avodat Hashem. Okay? You understand? Shacharit sets half of the day, then you go into mincha, end of the day, arvit, beginning of the night, tikkun chatzot, and the end of the night. And why is it so important? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu put set in creation. So the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu set an ecosystem that he uses in order to interact with us. We spoke about it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu talks to us through nature. And part of nature is what? The organization of evolution and time. So if you understand that each time has an energy, each time has a purpose, we saw it in the Kohelet many times. We spoke about it in Kohelet in many places, right? So you know what to focus on, right? You're not going to go and eat food in a store that sells running shoes. You're not going to ask for a sandwich in a running store. No. Okay, very good. And you're not going to, play, WhatsApp. If you go to a store that sells running shoes, it's to buy shoes. If you go to a restaurant, it's to eat. If you go to a Bet HaMidrash, it's to learn Torah, not hacking nonsense and business. If you go to Bet HaMidrash, and if you come to work, it's to work. Each portion of the day has its own. If you know how to tap in each portion of the day, you bring out the best out of it. And that's how you're able to understand the messages of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's how you're able to benefit from the awe, from the energy, from the mazal of that moment. And that's how also you're about to impact. And if there's something that needs to be changed, you can change it. Today, that's already Kabbalah. You have Shemot HaKodesh. Each day represents a Sephirah. Each day is another Sephirah, right? Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Malchut, all 7 again until Shabbat, right? Then each sephira is broken into, well, it's complicated to speak. Right now, the Gaon is just bringing a concept. Ezrat Hashem, we're young, although I look older, but we are young, and we have the ability to Hashem Kadosh Baruch Hu will give us strength, Ezrat Hashem, and the ability to continue learning His Torah, B'Kedusha Dara. Ezrat Hashem nilmad gam et nilmad. It's difficult. We'll get there. We'll get there if Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants us to get there. Ezrat Hashem. We have to ask for it. We have to ask Hakadosh Baruch Hu. We have to beg for His Torah, for His wisdom. Yeah. If we don't ask for it, we cannot get it. You can have books on your shelf, but if you don't have the bracha to open the book and understand it, lo ya'azor klum. Anyways, so El Ginat Egoz Yaradati, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, He says, I come down to the field of the nuts. I come down to the field of the tzaddikim. Lir'od be'ibei hanachal, to see the green fields. What comes out of the greenery that comes out next to the nahal, next to the river. Lir'od aparecha, and why? He's interested to see. And who has ibei hanachal? Says the Gaon, the ibei hanachal are the chachamim. The Chachamim that connect to the Torah. He says, why the Chachamim compared to the river? Because the Torah is water, and the water can take the shape of any vessel. So your Torah, when you learn it, it will take the shape of who you are. Right? This is why it's important. You need Yirat Shamayim also. Yirat Shamayim is not Torah. Yirat Shamayim is fear. You need Midot Tovot. You need good behavior. Right? People, they say, "Why I'm a good? I don't need to be religious. I'm a good person." It's true. You can be a nice vessel, but it's empty, or it's filled with dirty things. You need two things. You need to have the proper vessel, and you have to have the Torah. It says when you learn Torah, you're connected to that water. Yeah. And He brings out all the beautiful greeneries. Where do they grow? Next to the water, source of water. Right? That's where you find vegetation, not in the desert. It's true the Torah was given in the desert. We spoke about why, but the beautiful greenery, the produce comes from the source of water. You need source of water. The source of water is the Torah. The source of the water is the Torah. That's what is Beibei Hanachal. Lir'ot afarecha gefen. But I want to see also, did the vineyard, yeah, the vines, but how? They blossom, no, not blossom, they more than blossom, they ripped, they are ripped, right? They're ripped. Right. They're right. I want to see if the Geffen, he says, who's the Geffen? He says the Geffen is Bali Chokhmah. Not Bali Torah, Bali Chokhmah. The people that are able, very, very big chachamim, also big chachamim. They're not Bali Torah. There's the difference between being a Talmid Chacham, Bal Torah, and Bal Chokhmah. Bal Chokhmah is you understand, you dive into it, but you're missing the Kedusha, you're missing the touch with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bali Torah, they're one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then finally, I want to see also the Bali Mitzvot, the people that are full of mitzvot, like the Rimonim. Again, what is HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down? Because He's expecting from us, and it's not repetitive, but that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Himself. He says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down. If you want Hashem to be with you, to come down, and first of all, you have to understand, you have to be like the nut. You have to be like the nut. Yeah. Maybe we have to put in our offices like a nut and look at it every day.
Walnut.
A walnut, and look at it every day. And this is what I represent. I should be like this walnut. I should have a very strong klipa, shell, strong shell around to be protected from all the dirt of the world and all the nonsense. And inside, I have to be divided into four, right? I have to be compartmentalizing my effort and my direction, right? And my time, my day. Huh? It's very maybe a bit chokhmah.
I love walnuts.
And by the way, more than that, Al Pi Kabbalah, the walnut looks like the brain.
It looks exactly
like a
it.
brain. Like a brain. It's a segula, it's a big segula for the and by the way, just doctors say it's also very good. The oil of the nut is very good for the milk body, very healthy. The Rambam and the walnut. The one. He says you have to be like the walnut, yeah. So if you emulate what the walnut was brought to the world for, to teach you how you have to be, prioritizing, structuring yourself, being protected from the outside. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down. Because the benefit of it, being a walnut, will guide you to what? To Baalei Torah. You will have Baalei Torah around you. You will have Baalei Chokhmah around you. You will have Baalei Mitzvot around you. Suddenly you are the walnut. You are the walnut, yeah. But you have your connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a Baal Torah. You have your connection to the wisdom as a Baal Chokhmah, and practically with actions as a Baal Mitzvot, right? So you have the aspect of the Rimon, you have the aspect of the Nahal, of the Geffen. You become a garden. You become a garden. You become a garden. So, Lo yadati, pasuk Yud Bet. We're going to try to finish at least the parak according to the Gaon Mivina, and then Be'ezrat Hashem will go back to the Malbim. Lo yadati. I don't know why he says. Nafshi samatni. Nafshi, the neshama of all neshamot, she's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Samatni. I don't understand what happened to me. It says, it put me on my subconscious. Markevot aminadiv, like it put me like a markevot, like a chariot of aminadiv. Put me secondary. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said all this, right? This is how I look at you. This is how you are, and this is what can happen. I don't understand why Am Yisrael, not all Am Yisrael benefits from all this. Nafshi samadni. They take me, my nafshi samadni, they put my nefesh aside. Who's my nafshi? Says the Gaon. Neshama la neshamot. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. ומהיסח הדעת שמוני במרכבות של הנדיבים. They put me secondary. After who? Nedivim. They put me after the flus, the Nedivim. They ran after the Nedivim, and they gave attention to the Nedivim. They gave attention to the Gevirim, to the people with power and wealth, and this and this. And me and everything that I talked to you about, everything I can, all this power, through that, they decided to be as a Merkava. They put me the chariot, yeah, with the horse, and it was the Nedivim. He says, this is what David Amer prays for. Mekim me'afar dal me'ashpot yarim evion leoshivi im nedivim im nedivi amo. Says, you know why? Because Am Yisrael behave from a place of weakness. They feel they are dal or they are evion. Dal is poor. Evion is worse than poor. There's nothing. He says the dal has a makom. The avion, even a makom, he doesn't have. So, Mekimi me'afar dal, le'atid lavo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mekimi will allow the dal, the poor, to stand up. Yeah. And the avion, he will take him out of the garbage. He says this was going to happen at the end. Bezrat Hashem. It says the Gaon, the reason why they put me as a chariot in the back is because they were following the Nedivim. They were following the money. They were following the pride. They were following the strength. They were following the trend. And why did they do that? They do that because they looked at themselves like Evion and Dan. They looked at themselves as empty of Koach. I don't have the Koach. I don't have the power. I don't have Chokhmah. I don't have Torah. I don't have. So what do you look after? What's the most tangible? What's the most accessible? The money, the fame, and the people. That's. So from their place of weakness, from a place of weakness of what a person can really accomplish, he sets himself a failure and he lowers not expectations. He lowers his abilities to something that seems more attainable to him, which is physical pleasures. But if lo yadati, lo mevin, lo yadati, I don't understand Tzedakah. Nafshi samati. They put me secondary. After everything I told you, everything you can get, everything, all this power. They put me like that. Behind the chariot of my people, Nadiv, of the Nedivim. Nadiv. Yeah. Come Shlomo closes and Baruch Hashem the sixth perek with like a curveball. He sends us a curveball. Yeah. He says, be careful. Do not. So what's the mistake? The mistake essentially is that you feel poor, is that you feel empty, that you feel like you don't have, right? You don't engage in order to feel the taste of the ability to receive and to benefit from what's out there for you. It says all this because a person feels dal, because he feels ani, he feels evion. We give on Purim, we give matanot la evionim. Yeah, matanot la. What do we say? Why don't we say matanot la anim? Huh?
Because it's.
What's the difference between the ani, the poor, and the evion?
Evion is physical versus what his mind thinks he is, poor versus really poor.
And yeah, good. And what's the difference between the two? Good, you're saying something. Yes, you're right. But what does that mean? Okay, the ani is poor because he's poor. So he asks. He has no choice. If he doesn't ask, he's not gonna have what to eat. The evion lost that busha. He doesn't ask because he needs. He asks because he needs to ask. The asking became like a drug. He needs to ask. So the ani is shy. He doesn't have it. So he has to overcome his busha. He has no choice. The evion, no busha. He asks. That's matanot la evionim. And these are the ones that are most difficult to give to. The ones that have the chutzpah to ask. And when you give them, say, what do you mean? Give me $1. Give me $10. Give me $1. That's the evion. The ani, he would like to ask you for 10, but he's already mitbayesh to ask you for 1. So he does that. Even to the evion, you have to give on point. Says Shlomo HaMelech, Am Yisrael. There's people in Am Yisrael that act like the Ani, and you have the ones that act like the Evion. They became junkies of food of the Nedidim. Junkies. They need the scenery. They need to be around the power. They need to be around the money. They need to be the junkies. They get it. I mean, if I'm not around the powerful guys, I feel like I'm poor. Yeah, I need that injection. Says David, says Shlomo HaMelech. This is the reason why these people don't get to the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They are completely sidetracked. Completely sidetracked. But instead, if you pause and you start to tap into the power that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given each and every one of us, and suddenly you bring him to you. He comes to you. And then you go from that to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, or to whomever that did all these Tzadikei Elyon that did all these miracles, that the nature was on the palm of the hand. That's the conclusion of this perek, Baruch Hashem, B'Sha'ato Mutzlachat, Mazal Tov, according to the Gaon Mivilna. We still didn't finish because we have to go back and learn it according to the Malbim, right? But at least Baruch Hashem, according to the Gaon Mivilna, Zachinu to finish the 6th perek. Okay, Baruch Hashem.
When you say control nature, it could be also our nature.
Vadai, for sure. For sure.
Tzaddikim control their nature 100%.
What?
Tzaddikim control their nature 100%.
For sure. That's how it starts, right? That's the starting point. By controlling your nature, you can control the nature. So, Baruch Hashem.